Hello everyone, Ben here, and welcome to a 2020 prediction. I didn't receive any comments about which of the two matchups I put into. I asked you guys about in the election night video, so I'll get to which one I chose in just a second. First thing I want to do is just I don't want to say comment on the Vegas shooting, but kind of just acknowledge that it happened and that it was a violent attack perpetrated by a sicko. It doesn't matter who that person was. It doesn't matter what that person believed. The person was just a sicko. Someone who's completely fucked up and doesn't represent anyone in any capacity. And it's more than likely that, especially if the reports are true, that he was using machine guns, that those were illegally obtained. So not like anything would change that. I know I'm trying not to politicize it. Anyway, the only thing we can really do is donate blood, pray for the victims and their families, and anyone who is still in trouble or helping out. And yeah, that's really all we can do. So, yeah. Anyway, so the matchup I want to talk about today is John Bel Edwards versus Donald Trump. Okay, and I'm going to assume that John Bel Edwards actually wins re-election in Louisiana. He's currently the governor of the state. He's actually decently popular. And he's a bit of a conservative Dem, actually, a little more than a bit of a conservative Dem. He's the type of Democrat I think could do well in the South, but I'm not worried per se, but I think that may cause issues elsewhere in the nation. Okay? I'm going to kind of talk about it because I also want to talk a little bit about regional candidates. For example, if we had a very charismatic and strong Democrat from, say, well, let's go Louisiana, right? I could honestly see him picking up, I don't think he would be able to pick up Mississippi, but there's a chance that he could create a map kind of like this. And remember, this has to be a charismatic one. Actually, in this day and age, Florida would go blue for that. Oops, that would go red. There would be potential that this district would go blue. Texas would still be red no matter what. Potential for Montana. And remember, this is basically the one of the Bill Clinton maps. This could be possible. Something similar to this, maybe. It just depends on how charismatic he is. But I am very skeptical about John Bel Edwards' appeal outside of Louisiana. Yes, he's popular within the state, but he's also a conservative Democrat in an era where conservative Democrats are just not popular outside of their constituencies. I don't think he'd be able to win the 2020 primary, but in the long shot that he does, because of all the far left of all the the liberal Dems, the far left Democrats, sorry about that. They would be taking votes away from each other, maybe enough to allow him to win, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the states that I think would be 100%. They'd be outside of the 10% for either candidate. I'll leave this district up for grabs. And I'm also going to give John Bell Edwards the benefit of the doubt in a few southern states. I'll also give him the benefit of the doubt in Missouri. Actually, it might cause some weirdness in New England. So I'm going to talk about that as well. I'm skeptical of it, but at the same time, I think that'd be reasonable to talk about. Actually, I'll leave Indiana up for grabs. So it creates a radically different swing state map than you'd expect. I'll also leave Texas open. Okay? Creates a radically different swing state effect. I guess we could also include Oregon. Because a lot of these states we have to look at, can a Southern Democrat really affect something? Well, I think he lacks appeal in the upper Midwest, in the Rust Belt. I don't think John Bell Edwards is the right candidate for the Rust Belt in that area. He's just, again, he's a conservative Democrat, but he kind of plays weirdly on the issues. If it were Joe Manchin, that'd be completely different. But John Bell Edwards is, on many issues, very similar to Manchin, but I don't think those are the issues that they truly care about up here. They're more concerned about economics, and especially if we're going based off of the expected growth that I think will happen over the next 3.5 years. I think it's enough for Trump to at least solidify his hold on Indiana, Iowa, Missouri. I'm calling Missouri a bit of a Midwest state, though it's also a southern state. It's kind of in this weird in-between land. I'm also going to give him this. I'll go ahead and give John Bell Edwards Oregon, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, though I expect those states will be a lot closer. I'm going to go ahead and give Trump Texas as well, as I think that'd be almost a guarantee for him. I think he'd win it by about 10 points. I'm going to start, and I do expect a lot of these to be borderline 10-point states. So they could be in. And now I'm going to go through and get all the states I think would be within that 5 to 10-point range for either candidate. And this is where I think, not North Carolina, Georgia for sure would be in there. Actually, I think this would get closer, and I think that would still be solid blue. Sorry about that. So I think this would also be a lot more likely to be a blue area. So now we have to look at what we have left. I think there are some areas that think a conservative Dem is essentially just a Republican who hasn't switched parties, is a Democrat who hasn't switched parties yet. A prime example would be the governor of West Virginia, who actually just switched, and he was a conservative Democrat. So I think a lot that might play poorly in some areas. I think it would cause maybe a loss in Nevada. These states are a little bit weird. I think New Mexico just won't ever vote for Trump unless there's a really, really poor candidate running up against him. I think Colorado would still be a lean Dem state. I think Nevada would flip. So now we're back to the more traditional ones. I think with some recent comments Trump has made, New Hampshire is probably leaning Dem, but I don't know. Their voters are extremely elastic, meaning there's a lot of swing voters in the state. Now we go over to the Rust Belt. I don't think Trump could lose Ohio in this matchup. I think it's just too difficult for that to happen. Difficult for the Dems in this, at least in 2020. Let's go to Virginia would be blue as well. Still under 5 points. This is a tough one. Like I said, I don't think John Bel Edwards would be a good candidate for the Rust Belt and Upper Midwest. I'm going to go ahead and give Trump Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I think those are two states he's likely to hold in 2020, depending on who the Democrat candidate is. But I think we can also expand his margins in Michigan. Again, I think John Bel Edwards wouldn't play very well up there. Because I think in that area it'd essentially be, well, we've got essentially two versions of the same person, and, well, the person who's in office currently is at least giving us our jobs, at least for the time being. So I don't think that'd cause anything. I think that'd put Minnesota on watch to become a Dem state. Or not a Dem state, to become a red state. And I'll get back to Minnesota. North Carolina is a turnout state, so it's really just about who can turn out more people. It's a swing state that doesn't have a lot of swing voters. I still think the Republicans have a better ground game in North Carolina. I think 2016 kind of proved that because most Dems actually kind of expected to win North Carolina. Now we're on to a lot of the flip votes. Trump gets any one of these. Well, okay, if he gets Arkansas, he needs to get at least two of them if one of the two is Arkansas or Mississippi. Every other state would give Trump the win. So let's go state by state. Arkansas. Well, it's not Louisiana, and John Bel Edwards isn't from there. Yes, he's the type of Democrat who could win in Arkansas if he were from Arkansas. So I'm going to actually lean that one to Trump. Also, I'm going to be kind to John Bel Edwards and say both of these are within 10 points. Okay, it kind of makes sense. Then, so let's go to John Bel Edwards' home state of Louisiana. I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he'll win by like 3 or 4 points, maybe less. But we have to remember that Donald Trump won the state by a massive, massive amount. And this would really just be up because of home state advantage. It would have absolutely nothing to do with the fact that John Bel Edwards, nothing to do with the demographic shifts in the region, because Louisiana is one of those states that's going to take a long time to shift into a state that Democrats can actually win. I'm talking 2050, 2060, if the politics of the nation didn't change and the only thing that mattered was demographics. Mississippi, same thing as Arkansas. If John Bel Edwards was from Mississippi, I could see it. But he's from Louisiana. That said, he would be much more competitive. Florida, Trump won in 2016. I see it being an extremely close state. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Trump just because of incumbency advantage. In Minnesota, I'm going to say would still be a John Bel Edwards state, but it'd be a similar or slightly smaller margin than Clinton got. So I think this would be a reasonable map if John Bel Edwards were to somehow get the Democrat nomination. Again, I'm going to highlight states that I think would be on that cusp of being, within 10 points and actually being reasonable battlegrounds. Here, obviously. Yeah, Georgia would be closer to 5 points, but this is kind of what I could reasonably expect a map to look like. Of course, the light colors here indicate between a tie and 5 points, between 5 and 10, and over 10-point victories. But this is a map I could reasonably see. And again, any state that's in pink, I could easily see flipping to the other side. With a few different changes, I could easily see a lot of the darker states changing. I really don't see any of the blues, the solid states changing. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a nice day. And again, remember, pray for people in Las Vegas. And if you can, donate blood, whatever you need. And also, let's not forget, Puerto Rico's still in dire need. So again, same things there. Donate what you can.